Senator Rand Paul is rested and ready to filibuster again, this time over gun control. He and two other Tea-backed party senators, Senator Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, are threatening to hold up any and all gun legislation. In fact, they might not even have to speak at all to do it. Just withhold unanimous consent and prevent the Senate to proceed to even debate the issue. Quote, "We will oppose the motion to proceed to any legislation that will serve as a vehicle for any additional gun restrictions." Now, Roll Call, however, reports that the new filibuster rules adopted in January could actually thwart their attempt. The White House was unamused at this attempt to even silence the debate over gun control, as was one of the fathers of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting.
All I've heard is the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment. And it's not about the Second Amendment. It's about saving children's lives and innocent people's lives.
Joining us now, Joy Reid, managing editor of thegrio.com, and John Soltz, chairman of VoteVets.org. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Joy, I am going to start with you because I feel like Rand and Ted's excellent adventure, they are feeling their oats. But is this just bluster, or do we really think they're going to do this?
Well, you know what? I worry that they will try it because Rand Paul did get a lot of sort of positive media feedback. He got a lot of attention for his previous filibuster, and I think he feels like it is a way to draw attention to himself. But I think that we do need to pause for a moment to realize that these guys are talking about filibustering not for some great and good principle, but on behalf of gun manufacturers, on behalf of an NRA that had the temerity to robocall the Newtown families, that was that insensitive to the loss of life in Newtown, that they thought it wisdom to just robocall those families who are already in pain and that community that's already in pain. This isn't about saving lives. This isn't about protecting people or self-defense. This is about protecting gun manufacturers, period.
Isn't it also, though, I mean, if you believe that they were going to filibuster, and if you believe that there was some way to prevent some portion of a vote, it strikes me that part of what this is about is protecting certain members of Congress from having to get on the record and say once and for all what they're for and what they're against, which is, you know, despite all the rhetoric, dangerous given that you have such overwhelming public support for so many of these measures.
No, I agree. And you have people like Mitch McConnell, who's not sure what's going to happen to him, Ashley Judd-Wise, right? And you're looking at some of these guys who are up for re-election, but you think about a Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania who's in an awkward position. Right. He's in a state where he probably should be on the side of gun control, but his ideology probably puts him against it. Yeah, it's very awkward for senators, but you know what? That's why they signed up for the job. That's why they ran, and that's why they're one of the 100 sort of special people that are in the Senate. And I have to say that I don't believe for a minute that Harry Reid's little silly deal he made in January can do anything to stop it. This is the reason that people wanted Harry Reid to do real filibuster reform, and it's yet another reason why him not doing it was a major, major mistake.
I agree. John, your organization, VoteVets.org, has a new commercial out that maybe Rand Paul and some of the others should see. So let's play a clip of it.
I had to pass a background check to join the Marine Corps before I could carry a weapon similar to this one in Iraq. Here at home, anyone can purchase this weapon, no questions asked.
It's really powerful. You know, you have served 2 tours in Iraq. You had to undergo a background check in order to carry that weapon. What is your take on this discussion about whether or not we should have to do background checks?
Well, they're going to try to filibuster. I mean, we went through this with Chuck Hagel. I mean, we had 60 votes there, and you can see what the final tally was. There's a lot of political theater, like Joy said. Rand Paul's running for president. Ted Cruz is running for the head of the Tea Party. So they're going to try to filibuster. That's why we're fighting back with ads like this. That's going up against Jeff Flake. But that's just the beginning. We sent it out to our members today. We're going to raise some money online for it as well. And we're going to expand that because we do expect a fight. Even if you got 60 votes, they're going to filibuster because they want to filibuster for their own theater. And it's kind of funny because the people in the military, look, we all needed background checks, but yet you can buy a weapon from your friend without one. And I think, you know, even people who are very conservative in the military who don't support an assault weapons ban support the idea that criminals shouldn't be able to just purchase a weapon that can do the type of devastation the weapons that we carried and work can do.
But that's one of the things that strikes me. So, I mean, you and a number of Iraq vets, Afghanistan vets, a number of generals, Ray Odierno, Stanley McChrystal, we've seen a lot of folks out there saying, yeah, there is no reason to have weapons of war on our streets. And I think as your ads so powerfully shows, I mean, that's a weapon of war. That is a very destructive machine gun, gun.
Sure.
Why do we need that on our streets here in our communities?
But I think what's important here for senators like Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania state that I've lived in, there's parts of that state where assault weapons ban is going to be popular. And so I think the point here is that the people who understand these weapons, look, at some level background checks is more important because there's so many assault weapons out there right now already that anyone can buy them from their friend, anyone can go to a gun show. And so what we're really making the argument here is if our military, if kids who join the military have to go through a background check, how, for the guy who shot Gabby Giffords, Jared Loughner, he was not allowed to join the military.
Right.
Okay, yet he can get his hands on weapons. So I think there's a larger question here that what we're saying is we know what these weapons can do, and we've carried these weapons in war. We needed a background check to do it. Why does anyone have the ability to buy them from their friend and just blow people away with them?
Yeah, I just think like a lot of people, we ought to be listening to you. Joy, speaking of Gabby Giffords, the right has gotten so ridiculous. Gabby Giffords' husband, who I just want to remind people is an American hero,
that's right,
an astronaut, and a captain, former captain in the U.S. Navy. So not a slouch, right? So he went to try to purchase guns, and the seller didn't like the idea that what Kelly was trying to demonstrate was, A, how easy it is to just get a background check, and how easy it is to buy the gun. So now he's denying him the purchase. I'm sorry, what about his Second Amendment rights? Is that even legal for him to deny him his Second Amendment rights?
And then notice that the person who that gun was going to be purchased from, he has to have a license. You have to be a licensed gun dealer. You just can't start up a gun shop and decide that you're going to, without going to the government, the black helicopter guys, to get yourself a license. I mean, there are a lot of rights that are restricted by government intervention to protect the powerless. You have a First Amendment right to free speech. But if you want to broadcast, guess what you need? You need a license from the government. You have a right to free assembly, but if you'd like to stage a protest across from the National Mall, you're going to need yourself a permit. There are lots of rights that are enshrined in the Constitution that are limited by government intervention because what you can do can damage someone else. And as that ad that VoteVets has done has shown, what could possibly do more damage than a weapon of war that people are saying they have a right to use for what? For self-defense, for hunting? What you just saw in that commercial, that is what actual guns do to real people. And the rhetoric aside, that's what we're talking about. It's protecting people from death.
Well, and as you brought up in Sandy Hook, I mean, one of the mothers specifically wanted the governor of Connecticut to see exactly what that gun, the power of what that had done to ravage that small child's body.
Yeah.
Because we're sort of immune to that. I mean, you're not because you've seen it, but I think it's the general public.
We call them weapons. In the military, you never say it's a weapon. And we're at a point in this country where 85% of Americans feel that criminals shouldn't be able to buy a weapon from their friend, that criminals shouldn't be able to go to a gun show and just buy that AR-15 that you saw in those videos, which is, they're very similar to what our troops carry. I mean, cosmetically, that is an M4 carbine, minus the length of perhaps the gun tube a little bit. But it's 85% of Americans. I mean, if the Republicans want to filibuster background checks, they're filibustering what 85% of Americans, which includes people from all swaths of our country want. And I guess that's the showdown we're going to have here in the next few weeks.
All right, John Saltz, Joy Reid, thanks so much for joining me, you guys.